Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim. Today I'm doing the Sleep and Books tag. The Sleep and Books tag is something that Hannah and I have made up. Hannah from hanpickblog, who I run the Book Club with. So we've just made up the tag video to go alongside this round of the Book Club, which is about sleep. So feel free to join in with the tag even if you're not joining in with the book club. Or if you are joining in with a book club and you want to do the tag, then absolutely feel free as well. So if you've been following my channel, you probably already know, but if you haven't, hello, welcome. And basically for the Book Club, we read a book by an expert and a book by someone who has experience in the field we're kind of reading about for those 3 months. So it's every quarter we read about a different subject. So at the moment we're currently reading Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and that's the expert. And then we're also reading Wide Awake and Dreaming by Julie Flagare, which is the experience book. I haven't started Wide Awake and Dreaming yet, but I have started Why We Sleep, and I'm loving this so much. It's so interesting. I thought I'd be really scared of it, but actually at the moment it's not so scary, and it's just more really informative and really interesting about kind of sleep patterns in animals, sleep patterns throughout your life, and what's actually going on in the brain and what types of sleep there are and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. The first question is, do you read before you go to sleep? And if you do read before you go to sleep, do you read like physical, ebook or audiobook? And so my answer is yes, I do try to read before I go to sleep. I never used to, I always used to be on my phone, and then recently I've made like more of an effort to try and read and put down my phone to try and help me with sleep. And it does seem to be working. I can't really do audiobooks because the audiobooks just put me to sleep too easy almost. So then if it's a book that I'm really interested in reading, then I'll have it on and then I'll fall asleep after 5 minutes, but then it will play for, even if you set the timer for it to turn off after half an hour, then you still have to go on and try not to hear spoilers for what has played and then skip back. So I tend not to do audio anymore. So instead either like ebook or physical book. I prefer a physical book because then you're not on the screen. But ebook is fine, and ebook is actually kind of better in some ways because then you can have like the lamp off and still read, which is quite handy. Yeah, so short answer is yes, I do read before bed. So the second question is, what was your favourite bedtime story when you were young, read by you or read by someone else to you? So for this I couldn't really remember like a specific book. I know that I used to read a lot as a child, and I know that my mum probably did read quite a lot to me. But I couldn't really think. So this wasn't when I was like a very, very small child, but when I was slightly older and I was into my Babysitter Club books, there's like quite a few pictures of me in bed with a Babysitters Club book. I don't know why my parents were taking photos of me in bed with Babysitter Club books, but they exist, so that's like evidence that happened. So if you don't know what the Babysitter Club books were, they were written by Anne M. Martin, and there was a lot of them. There are some videos flitting around YouTube about them in a lot more detail than this is going to be. But basically they're about a group of young friends at school who set up their own business to run a babysitters club. So they would meet up after school and then parents would call and book them in for babysitting. It was as simple as that. But yeah, I don't really remember too many details about specifics. I literally only remember that part of it. And considering I read them so much when I was a kid, it's baffling that I've like forgotten everything about them. Question number 3 is there a book that has made you lose sleep because you just had to read it? And I've really thought about this, and I can't think of any example of this happening, which is kind of sad because I do really get into books when I read them, but I just can't remember staying up till 3 AM reading books. If you haven't seen Hannah's version of this tag, I'll link it down below. But within that video, Hannah said something about music, like how with music she'd like stay up listening to it, but wasn't really like that with books. And I kind of agree. Like I can definitely remember times with music and being stuck on YouTube, just being stuck on YouTube, just like YouTubing song after song after song, back from my younger days or any days, and just getting really into it and wanting to listen to the next song and the next song and the next song. But yeah, I can't remember that with a book. I'm kind of wondering if that's partly because I don't really have a bedtime anymore because I'm an adult, and the hours when I do work without furlough are kind of shifted so that staying up late isn't really a big deal. So maybe I just haven't noticed that that's happened. Question number 4 is there a book that put you to sleep every time you tried to read it? And this is not like a fiction book or even a non-fiction book, really. It is non-fiction, but it was a textbook. And so I did Open University for my undergrad degree, and I studied physics. It's an open degree, but I went down the physics pathway. And I can't remember which physics textbook it is, but anything to do with optics, and I would be asleep straight away. And I really wanted to learn it, and I really wanted to understand it, and I just couldn't get through this chapter. And every single time I read it, I would be asleep. And it was so frustrating because I just wanted to understand what was going on. And that is the one book that I always remember, just could never get through. Question number 5 is, have you ever read a book with sleep as a plot point or theme? And for this, I can only really think of 2 books that incorporate this as like a main theme and that I really enjoyed. And that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Really good book, absolutely loved it. This was one of my favourite books of 2020, so I will link that video down below if you want to hear more about Strange the Dreamer. But yeah, just absolutely loved the writing style, and I loved the world, and I really loved reading that book and the second one, Muse of Nightmares. The other book that I remember liking and being kind of in a dream state, actually a nightmare, is The Married with Stork Nightmares by Irvine Welsh. And this is a book about a guy in a coma, and all I can really remember about it is that he's having this nightmare and you're seeing the nightmare and what's going on when he's in this coma. I think you also learn about his life, and you also kind of have bits of like the present, so his family and people coming to visit him. I think from what I remember, it's been a very long time since I read it. I remember absolutely loving it at the time that I read it when I was about 18. It's definitely a book that I want to reread. But yeah, Married with Stork Nightmares, that was a good book from my 18-year-old point of view. And the last question in this tag is, have you ever dreamed about a book that you've been reading? When I sat down to think about my answer for this question, the main thing that came to my head is not a book that I've actually read, or is it a film that I've actually probably seen, but it does feature in another film. So, okay, I'm talking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The glass elevator in those books, I have had throughout my life, for as long as I remember, had reoccurring dreams about being stuck in lifts and elevators and just can't get out, and these lifts are going all over the place and all round or on roller coasters, and I'm just stuck. It doesn't have to be like the glass elevator in the Roald Dahl books, but because I've never read those books anyway, so I don't actually know how that elevator works, but it's kind of how my imagination thinks it works. And I'm not scared, it's not like a nightmare, but I'm just stuck and I just can't get out, and it just goes on forever. Or it feels like forever, you know how dreams just like go on and on. So it's really weird. And I just have them over and over again, but different variations of them. Sometimes it's glass and I can see through, but that's rare. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that because that is definitely inspired by the glass elevator. But I've never read the book or have seen kind of the second film, if there is one. I actually don't know if there is one. The other thing that I remember is also Roald Dahl. So he obviously, his ideas got into my brain and disturbed me in some way, I think. And I also haven't read this book, but again, it was the film, and that's The Witches. And I always used to dream that I was one of the children that the witches put in a picture and got stuck. I don't know if that is something that happens in the books as well as in the film, or if they just added it to the film. I don't actually know. The film that I'm talking about is the one, not the one that just came out obviously, but the one that was before. I think it came out in the 90s. I'll put information up here as to which film I watched, but it really like disturbed me when I was a kid, I remember. So I avoided reading the book because the film scared me so much. But yeah, when I was younger, I would always dream about being stuck in a picture, and it was awful. That one was a nightmare. But other than that, I don't remember ever having a dream about a book that I was currently reading or just really involved in and felt like I was in that world. At least not that I can remember, because obviously sometimes you remember dreams and sometimes you don't. Anyway, yeah, so that's the end of this tag. It was quite short and sweet this time round. I'm going to tag Lee from Lee Mac. If she would like to partake in this tag video, then absolutely feel free, but no pressure. You don't have to if you don't want to. If anybody else wants to do it, then please do. I'd love that. And just either you can tweet us the video. We've got social media links for the book club down in the description if you want to join in. The next live discussion that we're doing is going to be on Hannah's channel, and I think it's going to be on the 5th of February if I can remember rightly. I wrote it down and I can't remember where the sheet of paper is that I wrote it down on. So yeah, I have to double check with Hannah. But I think it's the 5th of Feb and we're yet to kind of work out a time. So I'll update on that nearer the time. I'm really looking forward to the discussion this time because I feel like, yeah, it's just so many interesting things that I've read about, and I think I'll get my book back and show you. But I think, yeah, oh, there's not that many actually, but the blue tabs are like interesting discussions. Can you see that? I don't think it's focusing properly, but anyway, yeah, the blue tabs are like interesting discussion things. So there's already quite a few, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. What I'm really intrigued about in this whole tag is whether anybody dreams about the books that they're currently reading. I just find that really interesting, and I'd love it if I did that. Obviously it depends on the book, but I would absolutely love it if I actually did that. So yeah, let me know if you do, if that is actually a thing. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that everybody is doing safe and well at this very awful time. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.